Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelBlips Podcast for January 13th, 2013. If you catch us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. If you catch us on Gamer Motion, please check out their newly renovated and revamped forums. I'm Andy Ryan. I want to know if you saw any black cars around here yesterday. And joining me is the man who's looking for sailors, Dave DeWart. Dave, what are you playing this week?
I drive a black car.
It's a Shenmue joke.
I don't care.
I went for the Dreamcast joke. I guess the level of class is maybe a little too high for Dave.
I played Shenmue for like 20 minutes.
Anyway.
So,
you played Shenmue this week. Let's talk about Shenmue.
No, I didn't play Shenmue this week.
So
I've played
wasting,
Shenmue.
Wasting my time, the viewers' time.
No.
What'd you play this week?
I played a lot of XCOM. I purchased XCOM last weekend.
Not SexCom. That's
it's a totally different game.
All right.
Aliens and it's really interesting. I've never played I don't play a lot of strategy games anymore. I used to play like a lot of StarCraft, and I have Final Fantasy Tactics on my.
I was a big fan of the original two XComs, both XCOM and then something from the Deep.
And I think the original was like I don't know. I don't remember.
Anyway.
But so I'm having a lot of fun with that. It's kind of fun, just playing a game that you don't, like a genre that you don't play very often. It is brutally hard though. Like I'm playing on easy because I'm terrible at these kinds of games. Like I even in Final Fantasy Tactics, I lose like 2 guys every couple of rounds.
It's interesting that you mentioned Final Fantasy Tactics because that's another strategy game that I always think is brutally hard because there is a moment in the beginning of Final Fantasy Tactics in the early going that is just set up for you to fail.
Is that the one where dude's sister dies?
No, it's Daughter Slums.
Yeah, that one is set up to fail.
So after the prologue, which is where the dude's sister dies. No, actually, it's right before the dude's sister dies. It's that first chapter.
Yeah.
But it's just set up. The game just kind of throws you into a bunch of mechanics. Is there anything like that in XCOM?
No, at least not so far. As you play through the game, initially you'll start out and it's just you and your squad, and you go in and they walk you through. Okay, you move. You can only move twice in a round. If you move twice, you can't fire, depending on your class, and all that stuff. And it explains the different classes when one of your squaddies levels up. He gets a class, and it's like, okay, snipers are good for long range, but they can only shoot their sniper rifle once a round. Except when you get after so many levels, they get an option to do it. So it holds your hand a little bit for a while, but then at some point it's just like
do it.
Yeah. Here you go. Now don't die.
Yeah.
And there's no if your squad dies, it's not game over. It's okay. Those guys are dead. Keep going. So
does it still do that thing where you have to? I think it was in one of the first 2 XComs, where when someone would die, there would be like a little shelf at the bar.
There is a memorial in the barracks, and there's like pictures, and I've already restarted my game once because I lost like 4 people in one mission, and they were all my like high level guys. So I was just like, man, I'm just gonna start over, and because I found out about the gray market. It says nothing about the gray market, where you can sell off if you have alien bodies that you're not using for anything, you can sell them off, and extra parts from alien ships that have no research value, you can sell off straight out. And I didn't know about that until the first Alien landing, not the ones where you shoot them down, but they land and whatever. So it's a really good game. I love this game. I'm gonna probably go home and crack out on it some more.
So you weren't playing anything else this week?
I played a little bit of the God of War Ascension beta that's open for PlayStation Plus users.
Yeah, I haven't played any of that yet.
It's got it's a beta, but it still has that thing in that one, I don't know what you would call it, problem, I guess, where if you're new, you're going to get schooled for a while. You just have to take the beatings for a while.
I'm probably not going to be playing that beta at all because I just don't.
Well, and
that's not why I go to God of War games. I don't really like multiplayer games that much to begin with.
Yeah, and right now in the beta, I've only experienced one map and one game type, and it's I don't know if you're familiar with the Unreal Tournament domination game mode, where you capture points and then you have to hold the points and hold the points, and then it fills up some sort of progress bar, and the first team to get it gets it. But there's like a giant Titan in the back that you have to kill, and if you kill the Titan, your team gets like 1,000 points or whatever. And it's really good looking. Like, it looks beautiful. It looks better than the God of War 3 beta did, or that early, what was it?
Demo.
Demo teaser thing. But I don't really play God of War for the beta or the multiplayer. So.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it just because they're trying something new.
It is interesting,
but like I said, that's not why I play.
And it has a whole gear system in it where you equip your guy with either swords or maces, and those level up depending on what god you choose to be under. I chose Ares instead of Zeus because those are the only two that are available.
Ares.
Yeah. So and a lot of his armor is all red and black, but we're gonna get the options of I think Hades and Neptune, and there's one more altar that has
Poseidon,
nothing in it.
Neptune.
Or Poseidon, my bad. It's same god, different lore.
Yeah, different civilization, but yeah.
But that's pretty cool, and I've been playing a little bit on the Vita, but not a lot. So, what about you? What have you been doing this week?
Lego Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
and that.
It's
pretty much. I've beaten the story mode.
Okay.
And so now I have unlocked everything.
So you can go back and start farming.
Yes,
and all the stuff you missed.
finding all the cool stuff. Like you would go past spots and levels that you could see, but you couldn't get to because you didn't have that tool or that character.
Yeah, you couldn't break that block because you need a Aragorn with the
Narsil sword.
Yeah.
So it was once you beat the game, you can go back and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a bonus level at the end that I won't ruin for everyone. I will just say you want to go find it. Because it's stupid fun. I had a lot of fun.
You'll have to tell me about it, and I'll have to ask if it's in there because I
their
haven't
bonus
played it.
level. I was floored.
It was that much fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was late to work because I was like, I don't want to stop. This is so much fun.
Well, you can always load it up again, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
You can. I mean, like all the levels, the bonus level included are reloadable.
Yeah.
So you can go you can still play it in the story mode if you want. You can play it in the free play mode if you want.
That's cool.
So I've been pretty much doing that. Played just a lot of throwaway games on my Vita. I played Jetpack Joyride, Zen Pinball, that Tales of Montezuma Blitz.
Yeah, I've been playing that. That's kind of an addicting little match 3 game.
Yeah, I kind of play it until I either run out of lives or I get the new high score on the leaderboard, and then I leave it for a few days.
And see if anybody can beat it. Yeah, I can't touch it. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I have a lot more friends on my Vita.
Yeah, I know.
And how's that coming? You're using Nier more? You're using the Vita more? Are you gaining friends, or are people asking to be your friends?
I haven't had anybody join up with me. Like, I haven't had any friend requests over the PSN. But the only time I take my Vita out of the house is when I come to do this, or if I go to hang out with my dad or my mom or whatever. Because I don't take it to work with me because no, I just don't take it to work with me because I don't have time to do anything with it at work, really. So there's no point. And there's no Wi-Fi at work, so that kind of shoots it in the foot because I have the Wi-Fi version. He has the 3G version. So.
And I beat Bulletstorm. I don't know if
you beat Bulletstorm?
I don't know if I did that last week.
I don't know if you did not, but you had mentioned that you were playing Bulletstorm.
The ending of Bulletstorm sets it up for the sequel that will never happen.
Yes.
But it's still very fun. It's still very gory and very much an M-rated game. And it tickles that kind of skill shot
that
point.
7th grader in all of us.
Yeah, that point drive that the old arcade games covered.
Yeah. So. It was a pretty interesting title. But yeah, we probably won't ever see a sequel to that.
No, and it doesn't
probably doesn't
deserve one.
It's not deserving of a sequel.
It came out as a $60 product, and I bought it for $10 and
still don't think you should get it.
Got a moderate amount of enjoyment. I think. Yeah. I think after I've played a lot of it, I haven't played any of the multiplayer yet or the Echo things, which appear to be.
Are there still people playing the multiplayer?
I may imagine.
I guess.
It's not like. I always hate this idea that everyone's like, oh, the new Call of Duty comes out, therefore no one's playing the old Call of Duty, or the new Madden comes out, therefore no one's playing the old Madden, or the new whatever game comes out, therefore no one's playing the old game. But if you're a
really hardcore Madden or Call of Duty player, you're going to be playing the new one.
Yeah, that's true, but that's also a small group. So compared to the user base of that item. I mean, I can still go online now and find Warhawk players.
Oh, yeah.
And Warhawk is a 6 or 7 year old game.
It is. It was almost a launch title, right?
Yeah. Came out a couple months after launch, so it came out almost a year after launch.
Okay, well,
but
I mean, there were still people playing it. Space Marine when I played it, but that was right after it became free on the PSN.
Yeah,
Plus,
I mean,
so you get that little.
There's always a big difference between a multiplayer game that a lot of people are playing, and then the type that you have to wait for a lobby to form, but people are still out there playing.
Yeah, there are.
Anyway, so I've sampled a lot of Bulletstorm, and I think. I would give it probably a B- in the terms of how you grade games.
Yeah.
At $10. I imagine if I had bought it for $60, that B- would be a C or lower.
A C- maybe.
Because it's an Unreal Engine game on the PS3,
and
we've gotten used to that engine's shortcomings with dealing with the PlayStation.
The PlayStation 3. Yeah, and so, XCOM is also an Unreal game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't buy it for either home console. Well, either of the two big home consoles, because I don't have a Wii or a Wii U. But playing it on the PS3, I could see where there would be some times when it just kind of chugs because it's an Unreal game. So.
Yeah, but it doesn't really chug.
There's shader effect issues.
Yeah, shader effect issues that just don't show up like they should, and then the really bad thing is muddy textures and then texture pop. So, speaking of technology, Unreal technology, no. CES was this past week. CES, the Computer Electronics Show, shows up every year.
It's Consumer Electronics Show.
Oh, Consumer
That's why they talk
Show.
about TVs and like
Consumer
home theater
Electronics
systems
Show.
And things like that.
The Consumer Electronics Show, since about 1992, has ceased being at all about video games.
For the most part, yeah. You might see some tech.
When E3 showed up in E3 showed up in 94.
Whatever year it was.
94. I think 94, maybe 95. Anyway, once E3 showed up, there was about 1 or 2 more years where we had announcements at CES. But since really the turn of the century, there hasn't been any video game stuff at CES.
Game stuff there.
If you see game stuff at CES, it's usually like Sony using the PlayStation to show off its new Bravia, or using something about the PlayStation to show off another product.
Yeah.
Microsoft using Xbox Live to show off what the Windows Phone can do.
Yeah.
So there wasn't
tablets or whatever.
So going into CS expecting a lot of gaming announcements is not the way to go. No. There were, however, a few interesting announcements that were gaming related.
Yeah.
And mostly the PC game related.
Well, people love their PCs.
Yeah, the first
Some
one.
people.
The first one is the Shield. Shield.
Yeah.
Not Shield. It turns out everyone that calls it NVIDIA Shield is supposed to be the Shield because they don't want it to be confused with Shield, the fake Marvel spy organization that's going to get its own TV show.
Yeah, that show that's coming out soonish.
So I wasn't amazed.
I know.
I continue to think that I think NVIDIA is going after a market that either doesn't exist or doesn't exist in numbers enough to support an item like Shield.
Okay. Well, what is the Shield though? The Shield it's a
portable netbook.
It's a portable gaming device that kind of looks like an Xbox 360 controller
with a weird screen clapped onto the
with
front.
like a 5-inch touch screen on it.
Yeah.
It has HDMI out, and supposedly it will support up to 4K resolutions.
Okay.
So 4K TVs. If you
if
you buy a car and
the Tegra
you
chip,
spend the car money on a TV.
The Tegra chip that is in the Shield, which NVIDIA developed for mobile phones, is a very small graphics
and
processing
tablets.
Chips. Okay.
It's in mine.
Okay. Sure we go. Anyway, it's a very small graphics processing chip that has a lot of oomph and can render graphics. I wouldn't say it could render it can render HD graphics, but not HD graphics like you all are used to. It can handle a version of the Unreal Engine 3 3 engine, but not the version that you're used to seeing.
Not you wouldn't be playing, if they ever ported over Gears of War to the PC, you wouldn't be playing that on it.
Yeah. So it can handle a version of the Unreal. It can do a lot of stuff that mobile phones have not been able to do, and it has a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Well, we don't know a price point on it yet. At least not of when I looked at it.
Yeah.
But
all of the perspective items that have this Tegra chip in them are expensive.
Yeah.
So we are going on the delineating factor then is the chip.
It's probably expensive.
But,
it's going to act like, like you said, it's like a portable gaming device, kind of like a 3DS or a Vita or something like that. But the big thing that the one thing that it has that the Vita and the DS don't have is it will support Steam games.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if
Steam games streaming from your PC.
Yeah.
So just like remote play on the Vita and the PS3.
So we don't know, and supposedly it will render those games at 720 on that little screen, that little 5-inch OLED.
But once again, that's your PC doing the bulk
of the rendering, and all it's doing is showing you video. But it's,
So it really depends on what it looks like on your PC will be similar to what it looks like on your Shield.
It might be easier because like my laptop can run games at 720, but if I try to pop it out to 1080, it just chugs because my laptop's like 4 years old. So, But yeah, so it seems like a really interesting idea, but seeing how his Wi-Fi isn't everywhere, and
and that speed there, anyone who's tried to remote play on the Vita or the PSP to their house can tell you like it's not great. But once you're in your house, it usually functions pretty well.
It's not too bad. Yeah, it just depends on how far the signal has to go and what the lag time is.
But my problem with the Shield is they're kind of showing this thing off, running games like Gears, running games like Far Cry 3, games that will not natively run on the device. It's just streaming that from another computer.
Yeah.
And I think that's poor marketing. That's poor showmanship.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of snake oily.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I think that the market for this, the market for the PC gamer, the power PC gamer that's going to know the NVIDIA name, that's going to really want one of these things, is not necessarily the portable gamer. It's not the same person. Like, remember, we've discussed a lot how you said you didn't need a Vita, and you still say you don't use it a lot.
I only use it when I'm at home and whenever I'm out with you.
Yes.
At this point. But I still play it because, one, my wife got it for me, and if she didn't, she'd kill me.
Well, it's a fun thing to have. But the rumored price on the Shield, which we don't really know yet,
is anywhere between $250 and $1,000.
Yeah,
like that's
$250 is the extreme low end.
Yeah.
Of their. Everyone has kind of said this will be more than a Vita, more than a 3DS.
Probably. Yeah.
And since the Vita has a problem running, significant sales numbers at 300, and it has games that are built for it that don't need to be streamed to it that look really good, I don't know the market for the Shield thing. Yeah. But that brings us into another market. We're talking about the PC gamers. Yeah. So another thing happened. And this is the thing Dave and I are going to have an argument about this week.
So I can't remember what the name of the company is.
XI3.
XI3 has announced that they're making a Steam box for your TV. Yeah, it's hardware backed by Valve to play PC games.
And it's super little. I actually think
it is.
The form factor of that thing is very interesting.
It's like, what, 4x4x6 or something?
You can fit it.
You can hold it in your hand. It's probably
not the size of a softball. Roughly.
Yeah, a little bit bigger than a can of Coke or something like that. And it
looks interesting.
It looks interesting. They're supposed to have 2 or 3 different models, like a low end, a medium end, and a super high end.
Super high end, they said, will probably run you $3,000. It will not.
It will. Cheap. Yeah, it would be. You might as well buy a laptop and just plug it into your TV.
Yeah, but the idea you have this is that it can be bolted to the back of your TV. It has a hard drive inside of it that can run these games from Steam. There's USB. Ports, so you can add games to it, not through Steam, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, and the hard drive is like a 1 gig or a 1 terabyte SSD.
Yeah. So the real news that came out of this Piston announcement that was interesting was what Steambox actually is. And I think Steambox, Gabe Newell should know better. A wizard should know better!
A wizard should know better.
Anyway, so it turns out Steambox, the thing that we've been rumoring forever, is not going to be a legitimate, this is the Steambox console, like we have been thinking about it will be. Steambox will be a little label that goes on your computer that says, this thing meets Steambox requirements. So whatever those Steambox minimum requirements are, if it meets that, it can have this Steambox label on it.
Huh.
So we do not know what those minimum requirements are yet. There will be, of course, one that Valve sells. There will be one that's probably NVIDIA sells, one that Alienware sells, one that...
Yeah, everybody's going to have their own Steam box.
This Piston is XI3's Steam box. So Gabe should know better, and he should know that this won't work, because Gabe, before you... little quick history note on Gabe Newell. Before he was the bearded Valve god of all PC master races, he worked for the evil giant known as Microsoft. And he worked on something specifically called DirectX.
Yeah.
And so, Dave, you know what DirectX is. I know what DirectX is. If you were to explain it to our viewers in the lowest, most idiotic terms, what would you say DirectX is?
It's a set of instructions that your PC has to have in order to play most games anymore. Yeah.
And Microsoft invented DirectX because when they were going to the Windows 95 platform from MS-DOS, a lot of game designers said, screw you, it's not going to work. We're not going to deal with it.
Yeah.
So what Microsoft did was they put all their smartest people in a room, one of which was supposedly Gabe Newell, and they said, what do we do? And they came up with a list of instructions that your computer would understand, that game developers could use to get your computer to run. And the general idea was you would have a sticker on the front of your PC that said DirectX 1 or DirectX 2 or DirectX 3, whatever DirectX it was at that time. And the idea was you could run any game that was DirectX 1, DirectX 2, DirectX 3. So then we jump ahead.
Now we're on like 11?
10 years? No, way more than 10 years. Ooh, we're almost 20 years out.
No, I'm saying we're on DirectX 11 now.
So, but now we jump ahead and we have the Steambox thing, which is
essentially
almost the same thing, same idea. DirectX did a good job for a while of making the PC market explode. Now the question is, was that because it was DirectX, or was that because you had things like Doom, Baldur's Gate, Age of Empires, games that...
Was it the games or the instructions that made the market viable?
But the thing that Microsoft learned was they don't need that DirectX sticker on the front of the computer, that it wasn't good, that people were still confused by it.
Yeah.
And we ran into, once again, when you bought a game, you had to look at the system requirements.
You have to look at the system requirements. And you still have to do that.
And I'm pretty sure Valve has a pre-loaded thing inside Steamworks that will scan your computer and tell you if you can run a game or not.
When you install Steam, it looks at your system specs and goes, okay. And if you go to buy a game, it'll say,
you can't.
Your processor isn't good enough. You don't have enough RAM, whatever. It still, has that functionality in Steam.
So here's the problem I foresee with Steambox and why I'm disappointed now that I've learned what it supposedly is. All this does is take away PC master races. One thing they had going for them, and that is you can continually upgrade your hardware.
You can still do that,
and you can still do that in the Piston. You can still do that, and all these machines you'll still be able to do that. But they're also putting a baseline and saying, if you meet Steambox 1, this is we'll put that sticker on the front of the box, basically like saying, for me as a consumer. If I buy a PlayStation 2, it will not play PlayStation 3 games.
Well, no, they're different architectures.
Yes. So, but that's what you guys, that's what the PC Master Race has always said. You buy that PS3 and you're stuck with it. Okay? When you buy the Steambox, you're not stuck with it.
You can always upgrade it.
You can always upgrade it, but you are, like, in terms of the normal consumer, you are stuck with it. And the people that build games are stuck with it.
Well, I mean, nobody's saying that a PC developer has to go by those specs.
True,
I mean, look at Crysis. Look at Crysis 3 is supposed to be it's almost out of development now. That thing just chews through anything that's out on the market now. It'll chew through anything that's out on the market in the next 6 months because they made that game to push hardware sales to see how realistic and how awesome they can make a game. So they don't have to go by that at all.
No, they don't have to go by Steambox. I'm just saying that it's odd for Gabe Newell, the man in charge of Valve, who has seen this idea kind of play out with Microsoft, and already has stuff built into their digital distribution that does the exact same thing, but then to say, well, we're also going to do this.
But I mean, the way you're saying, it's a bad thing that they're doing this, it's also a good thing that they're doing this, right? Because just like the consoles, they have a baseline for, this is the minimum hardware that most of our consumers are going to be running these games on. So if you can make it look, half as good as it will at max settings,
if you can optimize it for
this hardware set,
yes,
then you're probably going to push more sales. You're probably going to have more sales of this product.
I'm saying that's not. I'm saying I say it's a bad idea because that idea is not going to grow their consumer base, their customer base.
But it might. It may do it. I mean, it's a kind of a gamble.
It's a gamble, and it's weird that, once again, I think it's a gamble that it's going to grow their consumer base, and I think it's weird that Gabe Newell's made this decision because he has seen that it doesn't grow the consumer base.
Yeah. Well, hey.
So we'll see. We'll see, as always.
If when you buy Steambox 1, you get Half-Life 3, they will sell millions.
Yes, that is, once again, I will always say that. Like, if Half-Life 3 comes, if it's the only way you can play Half-Life 3, I will buy a Piston.
Yes, no, but it won't be the only way. It'll just be the only way that you can without buying a new PC.
Well, yeah, or it'll be on the PS4.
Maybe.
They're not going to leave money on the table.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's the other thing that, buying a Steambox, one, it doesn't do anything a media center wouldn't do.
No, it's just a PC that
it's
loads
just
up Steam when it comes on.
A PC that is, I think big picture mode was a much better initiative than Steambox.
Well, and that's what I believe. That's how Piston and the Steambox hardware. Like, Valve is actually going to release hardware, with the Valve name on it, and I think it's running Linux. But it's gonna, pop straight into big picture mode.
Yep.
And which I like big picture mode. When I had my PC hooked up in my living room, not my laptop, my PC, it was like big pic mode. Just sit there, and it's just like playing on an Xbox or a PS3.
And in terms of growing their audience, I think big picture mode will probably be more worthwhile.
Yes.
But I also think growing their audience, they're not. I mean,
well.
there's just not that. The market out there for moms and grandmas and girls and guys that don't already have gaming
PS3s and
gaming PCs.
Yeah.
It's just not. They're not talking to them. Or
But
not
maybe
in a way
that's not
that I
what they're
think is
going
effective.
for. Maybe
that's true.
Maybe they're not going for that market. I mean,
but then,
Nintendo had that market for all of this generation, and they won by sales numbers. But admittedly, better games came out on the 360 and the PS3.
So I mean, the question becomes then: is there another audience out there that is not tapped yet, or is Steambox going to take away gamers from what we consider the core console business?
Only
which
if
is not going to happen.
Probably not, unless they're like me and they're computer savvy and they're like, oh, I can buy this and I can still play.
Yeah, but you already have.
I already have a
computer.
gaming PC.
So
yes.
you're already part of their market. You're already
Yes.
part of their audience. The computer savvy people already are there.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. So they have them, and the Steambox is good for them,
Well-
and the Shield is good for them if that's what they want. If you're a PC gamer and you finally wanted a portable, the Shield is that.
The Shield doesn't look that cool to me. Like it's an interesting concept. I think it's kind of interesting. Like I get to play Android games with a controller and it's built in. I can put it out on my big TV. I can put an SD card in it so I can load up whatever I want. But if I was going to buy that, I would buy it so that I could play Steam games on the go, and I can't do that unless I've got a really nice Wi-Fi connection somewhere.
The Steambox is basically the Ouya with more balls.
Yeah, let's go with that.
And once again, last time we talked about Ouya, I don't think there's a market for it. And speaking of Ouya, an interesting news story. They already have Super Nintendo and MAME emulators running on Ouya.
Good.
That means that I give it a year before every single copyright holder in the world falls on them.
So what he's saying is you need to get one now.
Yeah, get it now.
get it in the next 6 months because they're going to have Genesis and Game Boy and all these other.
Squaresoft gets very upset that you can run Final Fantasy 3/6 on it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen and they're going to do that. I mean, software developers tried to sue Sony over the PSP because you could run emulators on it, and Sony's only defense was that you couldn't unless you hacked it. So
and
the
the
fact that
Ouya is
Ouya
just
is an open system and
it's running on
can
Android.
just do it normally.
Clone.
If the market gets big enough for the Ouya license holder, specifically probably Nintendo, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Capcom or Square Enix do it too, will fall down on them.
Yeah,
like the wrath.
Yeah, it'll totally happen.
Yeah,
but if so,
and that's the problem with open platforms, and that's going to be the problem with Steambox. The one thing that I think is good about Steambox is that if it does take off, it will drive prices in online marketplaces down.
Let's hope.
To Steam levels.
Yeah.
We've seen PlayStation with Plus and with their sales be aggressive in selling stuff, but it's still nothing compared to the Steam sales.
Like the Steam sales will just at random, they'll just go, okay, you know what? All of Ubisoft's games are 10% off.
So
boom.
if Steambox can take off enough that audience encroaches on the normal console business, you'll see better sales on.
And that's what I'm hoping for.
Platforms.
I don't buy a lot of stuff on the PSN just because I wait for sales for stuff like that, and they don't do sales as often as Steam. So I wind up buying a ton of stuff on Steam.
They do. That's kind of underselling the PSN. They do sales often, but Steam
does
is
them every
crazy.
day. They have weekend sales every weekend. They have midweek madness where they cut something by 25%.
From the business end of it, that's also partly because their audience is smaller than the console business. So their expected losses from a sale are smaller.
Anybody with a PC can get on Steam.
That's true.
So their prospective business...
their
prospective market is massive.
Yes. But that's also like saying anyone with a TV could buy the PlayStation.
Yeah, they could.
That's true. Yes, they totally can. But that's not
that
the
means they
PlayStation
won't.
audience.
But there are more PCs in existence than there are PS3s and 360s combined.
That's true. It's been true for a very long time. However,
they won't all play games.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet the amount of PCs that can play Call of Duty Modern Warfare
At the
4,
at the
whatever
same
comes out
level
next fall,
of-
at the same level as the PS3, do not outnumber
No.
PlayStations. Although I could be wrong, Korea does buy a lot of PCs.
Korea loves PCs, but they all play StarCraft.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway.
Now we just lost our one viewer in Korea.
Yeah. So the other thing that came out this week is Capcom. We've spoken for what's really quickly before we wrap up. We've spoken before about Capcom Classic Collections and wanting to go out and play those old arcade games and do those old things.
Yes.
In light of their 30th anniversary, I believe is
Something like
I
that,
think it's the 30th anniversary of their arcade business. They are launching on PlayStation, Xbox Live, Steam.
I don't know about Steam, but yeah,
Maybe.
they're going to be on
iOS,
the consoles.
Android. They're launching arcade versions of basically you.
They're arcade ROMs.
The program is free,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes with the ROM for Black Tiger in Japan, probably Black Tiger in the North America. We don't know
Something
that as
like
well
that,
yet. And then you can go in and buy other games.
For
So
like-
a lot like how Zen Pinball works, you get the base game for free, and then you buy the tables. They're doing that for arcade games.
Yeah.
This is a great idea. I highly suggest.
This sounds really interesting.
Sega, you should do this as well.
Oh yeah, totally. Let's play some
Midway-
Space Harrier.
Oh, not Midway. Warner Brothers. You should do this for Midway's games. So this is a great idea. I highly suggest, since it's free, you can't argue with free, and Black Tiger is a good game. When it comes out, look into it.
It'll definitely be interesting.
They released a promo image with like some sketches, some outlines of different characters. So like games like Sun will definitely be on there. I'm pretty sure I saw Goemon's Pipe, so you might see Ganbare Goemon, which did not come out in the United States legitimately, but is a big title in Japan. Legend of the Mystical Ninja on the Super Nintendo, Goemon on the 64. I also saw Magic Sword, the guy from Magic Sword, and I believe I saw...
Any good Street Fighter clone?
I didn't see any Street Fighter. I didn't see Final Fight. But once again, I was just looking at sketches. But I do believe I saw King of Dragons, or Knights of the Round, one of those two games. So those will be cool.
Yeah.
And
Sounds
both
interesting.
beat 'em ups, and I like beat 'em ups. So don't forget to spay new to your Pokemon, and we'll see you next week. We'll be talking. We'll have a guest on, and we'll be talking about violence in video games and the latest hubbub through the Biden Commission and
All that fun stuff.
should we discuss violence in video games on a national level? Are video games all related to violence? Are video games, bad for you? Which they're not. We'll be talking about a lot of topics surrounding this Biden
Video
Commission
game
that
violence.
happened this past week about why do mass shootings happen, and are video games a contributing factor? So once again, don't forget to spay and neuter your Pokemon, and we'll see you next week.